extreme flooding in northeastern United States. Torrential downpours from a faded tropical storm flooded the Northeast on Friday, forcing evacuations, toppling trees, cutting power to thousands, and washing out roads during a snarled morning commute. Water pooled so deeply in a Philadelphia suburb that a vehicle literally floated on top of another vehicle. Heavy rains whipped Boston for hours Friday afternoon, while other parts of the Northeast dried out after being hit hard overnight. The storm was blamed for 5 deaths in North Carolina on Thursday and a 6th in Pennsylvania on Friday. A woman who apparently drove her car into a rain-swollen creek before daybreak. Flights coming into New York City and New Jersey were delayed for up to 3 hours, and traffic coming into Manhattan was delayed by up to an hour under a pounding rain. Firefighters in the Philadelphia area used a ladder truck to pull residents through the upper floor windows of a building. Vehicles were submerged up to their windows. Rainfall totals in the Philadelphia area topped 10 inches. Parts of upstate New York had unofficial totals of more than 6 inches of rain, and New York City's Central Park recorded 3.08 inches. "My drive to work was a nightmare today," said a paralegal in New York's Long Island. "On the way, I saw a huge flood and 2 vehicles in the flood. All I could see of the 2 vehicles were the roofs. So it was really a nightmare. Every road I took was closed." More than 50,000 power outages were reported in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and the New York City suburbs during the brunt of the storm Friday morning, but many customers had power restored by the afternoon as the deluge reduced to a drizzle. The storm hit the Berkshires and western Massachusetts hard Friday morning, but without the high winds that could have stripped trees of leaves during fall foliage season, said the president of the Berkshire Visitors Bureau in Adams. "We have all kinds of festivals and outdoor activities in the region this weekend. So, if it had to happen, I am happy it happened on a Thursday and Friday," she said. A mudslide in neighboring New Hampshire resulted in a road closure. The massive rainstorm drove up the eastern seaboard from the Carolinas to Maine on Thursday, the worst of it falling in North Carolina, where Jacksonville took on 12 inches in 6 hours, nearly a quarter of its typical annual rainfall. The governor of North Carolina declared a state of emergency, with officials there warning that creeks and rivers would continue to rise even after the storm passed. Flood warnings were in effect for parts of New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Massachusetts, North and South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. The deluge that started on Wednesday set records in several areas, said Dan Peterson, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Multiple rainfall records have been set for parts of New York, eastern Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. The highest total was in Newport, North Carolina, with a multi-day total of 19 to 21.5 inches of rain. Rescue crews used boats and hovercraft to reach people stranded in homes and cars that were surrounded by fast-moving floodwaters. Travelers at Boston Logan International Airport faced delays that were in part due to backups earlier in the day caused by heavier rains to the south. Flights were also delayed at John F. Kennedy International, Newark Liberty, and LaGuardia airports in the New York metropolitan region. A period of cool weather was expected to follow the storm, the National Weather Service said. 4 people, including 2 children, were killed when their SUV skidded off a highway some 145 miles east of Raleigh and plunged into a water-filled ditch, North Carolina troopers said. A 5th victim likely drowned when his pickup veered off the road and into a river that was raging because of the heavy rain. Meteorologist Tim Armstrong with the National Weather Service in Wilmington declared the 22.54 inches to be the rainiest 5-day period there that he could find on record since 1871. It easily beat Hurricane Floyd's 19.06 inches in 1999. In other words, extreme weather events are becoming the new normal. Because climate change, global warming, whatever have you call it, is very real. It's happening right now. We've measured the last drop of rain in our bucket for this event. Armstrong said, I went through Floyd also, and I thought I knew what rain was. Then I went through this. He marveled at how a wet week changed everything. We were praying for rain, and we slipped into a moderate drought last week. It all turned around in a hurry. Forecast said a large, high-pressure system over Canada was expected to push the storm further offshore and likely spare New England the kind of extreme rainfall that flooded roads and homes. The rain was part of a system moving ahead of the remnants of Tropical Storm Nicole, which dissipated over the Straits of Florida on Wednesday. But the rain caused several of the wrecks, including a crash between 2 transit buses in Maryland that left 26 people injured. Standing waters and fallen limbs on tracks slowed several Amtrak trains, while some Northeast airports reported flight delays of up to 3 hours. Parts of Virginia had 7 inches. The extreme flooding might have been worse if not for a dry spell across much of the Northeast. New Jersey State climatologist Dave Robinson says the water levels on rivers and streams because of the drought saved that state from more serious flooding. The saving grace was that we were dry and the rivers were low before this, he added. If that had not been the case, we would be looking at historic flooding on the Delaware right now. And yes, there's something much more going on here, something much bigger, because everything is connected and everything is numbered. And these are more signs of the times. More intense weather events is becoming more frequent all around the world. Because it's about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations. Revelation chapter 9. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those humans which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. 6. And in those days shall humans seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. 7. And and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of humans. 8. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. 9. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. 10. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt humans 5 months. 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue has his name Apollyon. 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more thereafter. 13. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God. 14. Saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And these are more signs of the end times, transition days, which is a continuing day-by-day process with many different types or kinds of signs happening all around the world.